Hey guys, welcome back to the Unleashed podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Rieger. Today we're chatting with my very good friend, Karl Jacoby. Karl and I go way back to our Amazon selling days. He was in my Legends group. We were a part of Jim Cockrum's community. Still are, technically, I guess, just not active Amazon sellers. Karl's a good guy. He has followed his heart to go from selling on e-commerce to figuring out what it is, he calls it the burn. What's the why in my life? He essentially has gone from income to now wanting to impact lives, and God has called him to step out and help people that are struggling with various things, especially folks that just held back by their past or have self-doubts or just aren't sure about how to get over the challenges that they've had in life. Karl has a very interesting past and just didn't get the support from his parents that a lot of us get, and was a military guy, and just has gone through tons of challenges in life and has have overcome them, and now wants to help other people overcome those same challenges. We talked about so much stuff, guys. I took a lot of notes on this episode, as I do often. He just really encouraged me because one thing he said that he quotes somebody else saying is that, you've heard many people say that you're kind of like the sum of your five most successful people around, or you're the sum of the people that you hang out with, and your life is going to go that direction. And he said, if you don't have a circle of people who are urging you on, encouraging you into what God's called you to do, you essentially have a cage. Like, wow, that's such a powerful visual, that you need people around you that are encouraging you. And Karl also has a group that he is just starting, that he encourages people to overcome the challenges that they're facing. Find his content at Karl-Jacoby.com, Karl hyphen Jacoby, Jacobi.com. He's a good friend. I know that you will love this episode. He's got a lot of good nuggets of information and wisdom that he's learned over his years of hardship and overcoming. But and I love it. Love this guy. Here's my interview with my buddy Karl. Karl, welcome to Unleashed. So good to see you.
Thanks, man. It's good to see you. Appreciate you having me
Yeah, of
again.
course.
So,
Do you remember
yeah,
our
appreciate it.
when you were on Streams of Income? Do you remember what the title was on the last episode?
Yes. Well, vaguely, something about a knucklehead, right?
But you called yourself that.
I
I
did.
didn't say
I did.
that.
Yep. Yep. That is true. So, Ryan's too nice to be doing stuff like
Oh my
that.
gosh. Yeah, it was about. I think it was like you can, if a knucklehead can do it, so can you, or something like that.
Yes.
And it was talking
Yep.
about having success on Amazon. So,
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And it still stands to this day.
mm,
E-commerce, whether it's Amazon, eBay, Walmart, whatever
yeah,
platform of your choosing, and there
yeah,
seems to be new ones adding, by the day it seems. But
right.
yes, if a knucklehead can do it, so can you.
That's right. Oh my gosh. Well,
Main takeaway.
let's talk about I mean, obviously want to get into what you got going on now, because we're not here to talk about e-commerce. I'm sure we'll mention that because that's part of your history. But just
Mhm.
I love hearing people's stories. And so that's been so long ago since we chatted on a podcast. Just talk us through who you are and what God's done in your life, and just any of the business stuff you want to talk about. Let's learn about who
Yeah,
Karl
man.
is.
Man, that's a dangerous question to ask. So yeah, in terms of my story and just who Karl is, uh, it could be it could be an emotional one because I think a lot of people can resonate with this in a
Mhm.
sense of where they came from.
Yeah.
Essentially, I'm prior military. I served overseas and served on a variety of missions and done some pretty cool things, and also seen some things that I wish I didn't have to see. Just like
Hmm.
I'm sure any other service member can resonate, whether you're a first responder or any kind of military
Yeah.
person can resonate with that, right? But aside from that, I grew up in California, or I was born in California, Thousand Oaks to be specific, but I
Mhm.
was not born in a household where you would be set up for success.
Mm.
What do I mean by that? Well, my parents weren't present. They were divorced when I was 5 years old. Uh, Even after they divorced, they were spread across the United States.
Hmm.
And so each time I felt like I was visiting, a whole new atmosphere essentially.
Mm.
Because each time I got to visit one or the other, or got to live with one or the other, I was either in a new state or in a new city. I
Mm.
probably have changed more schools than my underwear, right? Sorry for the bad visual there, but I probably have changed more schools than anybody could probably count beyond
Yeah.
their feet and hands.
Oh my gosh.
And I love humor, man. Life's too short.
Right.
But but with that though, man, I think it really spawned the continue, like, man, I've lived here for too long. It's time for me to go somewhere else, right?
Mhm.
And so I've always been on the move, and that's why, when I was in the military, why it made sense for me, because I was always gone. I was always on the
Yeah.
move. Even
Yeah.
when I was a defense contractor, I was always gone. I was always on the move. 4 or 6 weeks, I was rotating somewhere else. But going back to my story, my childhood, where kind of what's fueling what I'm doing today
Mm.
is I was not set up for success. I didn't have parents that showed me, hey, Karl, if you want to be successful, here's what it takes. You got to do. I didn't have somebody show me what a successful marriage looked like. I did
Yeah.
not have somebody who showed me what, if you wanted to attain, high status where you wanted a very nice house or have, a nice amount of money sitting in your bank account. I didn't have that role model. And
Mm.
it's not my parents' fault.
Mm.
They didn't have that.
Mm.
They didn't have an example of what a proper upbringing was.
Mm.
Eh, my mother, unfortunately, she was victim of abuse several times in her life, even by
Mm.
her own relatives.
Oh my gosh.
So she lived with that even to her dying day, and unfortunately, her and I never got to reconcile.
Mm.
My dad and I, fortunately, have a very much different relationship.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody's watched Imagine, a lot of that, is resonates with me in terms of my dad. But he never, he was never physically abusive,
Yeah.
nor was he really emotionally or verbally abusive. He just wasn't present.
Mm.
He would come home from work, he would grab some beer and go in his room,
Mm.
or he would do something different, right?
Mm.
Now, did we have some good memories together? Absolutely, man. There's times when we went to go ride dirt bikes or go hang out at motocross tracks or BMX, which probably what stems my love for fuel. If it
Right.
you know every time a car drives by or a dirt bike goes by, I'm like sniffing that guy, sniffing his
Right.
fumes, like, oh, that's 110, with
Right.
Yamalube. But anybody who's listening that's an enthusiast, they better know what that meant. But were there some great, good memories? Absolutely.
Mm.
But again, I didn't have somebody that said, hey, Karl, if you really want that level of success, if you want that nice car, that nice house, a nice marriage, a nice family, nice kids, if you don't want to live scared, in a negative emotions,
Mm.
here's what you've got to do. I didn't have that. In fact, I didn't have that, man, until much, 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 much later in my life. I mean, I've got gray hairs. Of course, people are listening to this, but I mean, I've got a lot of gray hairs here. I'm not going to give away my age, but it wasn't until much later in my life when somebody said, "Hey, Karl, man, you're not living up your potential, dude.
Mm.
You're taking the easy route on things. You're not applying yourself."
Mm-hmm.
I honestly look back and I'm just like, "Dang, he's right." Like, I didn't even finish high school.
Mm.
I did not finish high school. Like I said, I bounced around from school to school to school to school. It was boring for me, and not just because it was boring for me, but God, man, I'm an introvert. I know some, listening to this, you're like, "There's no way that dude's an introvert," but I am an introvert. I can speak on stage, I can do this podcast and talk to people, but the moment you tell me, "Hey, Karl, I need you to go work the room of 50 people, 100 people, 1,000
Mm.
people," no,
Right. Yeah. I get that.
that's draining to me.
Mm.
And I don't mean that in a negative way, but it scares the
Yeah.
crap out of me.
Yeah.
Because there's that awkward silence of like, "Hey, so how about the Bears?" Or, "Hey, what's going on in the financial world?" Which that, you hear a record player scratch on that one.
Right.
But I just didn't have, that background. And so
Mm.
it wasn't until somebody tapped me on the shoulder, said, "Karl, dude, you got to do better. I know you can do better.
Mm.
And he was absolutely right. And if it wasn't for me being cold out, and it wasn't out of like somebody trying to hate or anything, it was out of love, man, because they
Mhm.
saw what I was capable of doing. They saw what, or he saw what I didn't. And
Mhm.
I lived that life for so long, I just became desensitized to what was possible, what my true potential was.
Mhm.
And I did see a trend. And I saw it in my kids for a long time until, I woke up, man. But whenever, like, I honestly believe I was good at a lot of things. Like, I could probably excel just about anything I applied myself to. Now, could I be, Kobe Bryant and basketball? No, dude, no. That's what I'm saying. But I honestly feel that anything that I fully applied myself with intentional focus to really not be scared of failing, I honestly feel that I could have done a whole lot better in my life. I'd be a little much further ahead.
Mhm.
So it's because of that person. It really fired me up. That was like, oh my gosh, I'm awake. Like I see now.
Mhm.
And it's the same stuff that so many other people battle. And a lot of people seem to think that nobody struggles with this.
Mhm.
Nobody struggles with worry or being scared or be afraid, especially now with all of this chaos that we have going on, whether it's in the political arena or it's in finances or just the inflation or
Mhm.
whatever, you name it, man. It's like we've got so much stuff pulling at us, so many distractions, so
Mhm.
many different things. And eh, how can you not, stay focused? So,
Mhm.
you know, guys, you're not alone. I mean, those of you that are sitting there with dealing with all this flailing of the wind, right? You look at the sails in the wind, and people are just flailing in the wind, and there's
Mhm.
no steady ground to ground yourself in the soil. People are scared.
Yeah.
People, they're afraid.
Mhm.
you know
Mhm.
so that's the longer-winded version of my story, a little bit of hint of what I'm doing now, and what fires me up, man.
Yeah. How'd you have so much success with e-commerce? What was the, I mean, I know we don't want to talk about like how you sell on Amazon and like, hey, this SKU or this SKU, not that level of
Yeah, no,
detail,
no, no.
but you were very successful and have been very successful in that.
I appreciate it. So yeah, I actually started. If you listen to the first episode we had done together, I actually started when I was overseas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Selling eBay, car parts and music stuff that I was trying to hide from my wife. And I'm totally kidding. Those of you who are listening, don't do it. Um, yeah, my wife's listening. I'm so kidding. But no, I mean, I was overseas, so I was buying a lot of stuff, selling a lot of stuff. But I've always been an entrepreneur. I just love the
Mm-hmm.
fact of making more money and
Yeah.
not having
Yeah.
somebody control what I make, what could
Yeah.
control how much, what I could wear, what kind of car I could drive. If I want to take my family on a vacation, like I wanted more.
Yes.
So that carried into, Amazon. That was probably 2012, 2013 when I
Mm-hmm.
ran into the Amazon space and plugged into a community and really just got a lot of value. In fact, that's where you and I met, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And like anything new, it was scary,
Mm-hmm.
because e-commerce, and it's still very much in its infancy stage, but there was nothing out there. There was no content. There was no training. There was no
Yeah.
tools. There was no
Yeah.
three-quarters of the stuff that you see now. It wasn't available then.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean that's pretty much where I got my success, if you can call it that. I don't like saying success because I don't feel that I'm there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I'll ever be there. It's a journey, right? But
Mm-hmm.
I did sustain a good level, decent level of success. Uh, it took me a while, because I was a knucklehead. I didn't want to really apply myself. Notice the trend there, and listen to all this stuff. I didn't want, honestly, man, it really boiled down to just doing the work.
Mm-hmm.
Taking the content and applying yourself and doing the work and giving them the reps in. I just wanted to be things to be fast, kind of like what we're seeing today, make $30,000 in 30 days. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That dream doesn't exist, my friend. Um, at least not ones that are more morally right or ethically correct.
Right.
But So yeah, so I built a pretty sizable business and recently exited from that business.
Mhm.
It was time.
Yeah.
It
Are
was
you done
time for me to.
completely with all things Amazon related?
I'm still in it as from a content creation,
Hmm.
coaching. I'm
Okay.
still in it, in a very smaller way. Like I'm not
Yeah.
involved so much in operations, the
Yeah.
finances.
Yeah.
Like I'm not running a business, right?
Sure.
So
Yeah.
it was a large exit. So now it's
Yeah.
just more of just business development
You
essentially.
know, a lot of people, so just curious. A lot of people that you and I go way back.
Mhm.
Are there a lot of people that do this long term? Like it seems like at some point they get kind of tired of it. They do end up doing something else. Do you know that many people that you can think back to when we first started that are still doing it full time and absolutely loving the e-commerce life? I mean, I know like, Kate and Nate Chaddock, I think they're doing it for a long
Mhm.
time. Obviously, Jimmy Smith's still around. He runs the Legends group that I sold to
Mhm.
him. Of course,
Yep.
Jim Cockrum's going to be in it for a long time, but he's
Yep.
he's in a different sphere. He's
Yes.
I think he's still, I mean, apparently still selling products.
Mhm. Yep.
And
He is.
so, but it doesn't seem like there's a lot of people that like continue for very long periods of time in e-commerce.
I would agree. It's the seasons of change,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
As any industry matures, as anything, that was once new and exciting, things change. Whether it's from a cost perspective, policy
hmm
perspective,
hmm
just general changes. It,
yeah,
it, it introduces new complications, right?
yeah,
E-commerce as a whole, and you know this firsthand, I think. E-commerce as a whole took like a 10-year leap during COVID, not just
hmm
for the consumers, but for
yeah,
sellers.
right.
And a lot of sellers came up at that point. They
Hmm.
started in the COVID era and they said, man, this is great money. This is easy. And well, dang, yeah, you could buy everything, sell it, just about anything you want for the price you want.
Right.
But that rave came crashing down. And that's where a lot of people were like, oh, so this is what Amazon's really about.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and to answer your question, man, no, I'm in fact, I'm seeing a lot of people exit,
Hmm.
because, either they're burned out or it's
Sure.
because it's time.
Yeah,
They've got other interests.
yeah,
Their itch has been scratched essentially.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, I always see it seemed like people got into Amazon and eBay and all the e-commerce stuff because it was a low-hanging fruit opportunity. Like
Hmm.
literally you and I could teach anybody how to do it. And so I love that opportunity that literally anybody with zero business experience, even no money, you and I could walk along somebody and show them how to build a very nice business. Some
Hmm.
of them were able to quit their jobs. I think of like Nate Chaddock, who was a teacher, and
Yeah.
Kate's hard work and his hard work with her allowed him to exit his job. And so many other success stories that we had in the Legends group. And Jimmy's now still, and Jim
Yeah.
Cochran are just spewing out success stories. And
Hmm.
so it's an awesome
100%.
opportunity for people that don't have business experience to create a very solid, sizable side hustle, little extra income, or a lot of income like you. And
Hmm.
but then at some point they're like, I'm kind of tired of this. Let's do something else. And I don't know if you have any more thoughts about that because I also want to ask you how you pivoted and how you've went to like I remember having a conversation with you a couple of years ago and you were thinking about this coaching.
Hmm.
So I'm curious to know that path of like how you discovered, this Amazon thing. It's great, but that's not really the thing for
Yeah.
me forever.
Yeah. 100%. So, just kind of covering back where I was in the Amazon space. When I did my exit, I probably have done a little more than 40 million in sales in terms
40
of
million in
wholesale on
sales.
Amazon.
Wow.
Hmm.
Wow.
And to leave that, it was my goal was be $100 million company.
Uh-huh.
But as I started to really look at myself and look at my legacy and look at my future,
Mhm.
I'm in my mid 40s now, and I'm not going to give away my age, not yet. But like any person, they're looking at their life and they're like, man, what am I leaving? What's the impact I'm having?
Mhm.
And I
Mhm.
just didn't get that with
Yeah.
e-commerce. Now,
Yeah.
it's all unique to each person, right? I mean, every person
Sure.
has their fuel of why they're doing what they're doing. Like you said
Mhm.
earlier, for me, it was my itch has been scratched. I
Mhm.
did fairly well, using the Amazon platform, and it was time to do something different.
Yeah.
And
How'd you know it was
um,
time? Like, because you could have just continued. You could still be doing Amazon right now. You could still doing the
mhm,
wholesale business right now,
mhm.
doing well, providing for your family. How do you know? Like, because I'm thinking about the person in the audience who's like trying to wrestle with, do I keep doing this or do I follow this over here? What was going on inside you that like you just knew this wasn't the right thing to keep doing?
Yeah, that's a great question, really, because it really took me a long time to answer that for myself. Because
Hmm.
when I was approached to essentially for me to exit, I, I was not too keen to the idea.
Hmm.
Because I thought it was too early. I was like,
Hmm.
no, I really want to hit my goal. I want to hit my
Yeah.
goal.
Yeah.
But as I'm talking to some mentors and people who I look up to in the space, and just really praying about it and
Hmm.
talking to my family, and
Hmm.
it's like for me, my personal decision came down to this: was what kind of, the one was the legacy that I wanted to leave, and
Yep.
the impact I
Mm.
wanted to leave.
Hmm.
And
Wow.
Amazon didn't answer that for me.
Yeah.
For me, and I talk a lot about this in my community. I'll talk a little about on the show
Mhm.
is the burn. This is
Yeah.
something I learned from a good friend of mine and mentor, Ben Newman, was that burn, right?
Yeah.
If anybody's talked to me or heard me talk publicly, either in podcasts or in conferences,
Mhm.
I talk a lot about the why, right?
Mhm.
What's the
Mhm.
purpose that's driving you to do what you're doing? It could be
Yeah.
that you started this because you have kids you need to put for college, myself included, right? I
Sure.
mean, most of my kids, actually, all my kids are in late teens now. They're on their way to college or their next chapter of lives.
Hmm.
So a lot of people could probably resonate that, or it could be to buy a house, it could be buy, to pay off debt,
Yeah.
whatever that is.
Yeah.
People have always heard me define that why,
Hmm.
but I didn't go deep enough.
Hmm.
I didn't go deep enough. And what I mean by that is the why is superficial. The
Yeah.
burn is what ignites your why when things
Mm.
get tough. The burn is what's inside you that fires you up when you get up in the morning. It's like, man, I am not going to fail today
Mm.
because I'm fired up to accomplish the mission that I'm supposed to accomplish.
Yes.
I want to do these things because the burn inside me lights that fire, lights
Yeah.
that why.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it could be a legacy, right? I mean,
Right.
it could be that you want to continue the legacy that you were handed. It could be,
Mm.
something that happened in your childhood that you don't want your kids to be subjected to. Whether it's poverty, it was abuse. It could be. It doesn't have to be negative either. It could be a
Mm.
positive thing. It could be that, like I said earlier, a legacy that you want to continue, and you want your kids to continue to build that legacy. I mean,
Yes.
it's biblically responsible, right? I mean, it says it right in the Bible. You're supposed
Mhm.
to, leave a legacy for his kids. So for me, man, it was really about my burr and really boiled down to like what fired me up, and what selling Amazon just didn't do it for me anymore.
Yeah.
It did provide an amazing, out income for us, allowed us to do a lot of cool things,
Yeah.
do a lot of cool projects. And, I definitely don't regret those because it allowed me to connect with you and Jimmy and Jim Cockrum and, some amazing people. But it was just time to move on. And anybody's listening, that's a conversation you have to have with yourself, your
Yep.
family, and continue. You
Hmm.
know.
That's so good. Had an episode recently called "From In Going from Income to Impact," and that's kind of the journey
Mm,
you just described. Is you could still be
yes.
doing Amazon, nice income, families taken care of, but you wouldn't be completely fulfilled and happy. You would know inside you that there's more that the Lord's called you to do, and that you would have been kind of neglecting that. And I wonder how many people listening are like, yeah, I got a job, I don't really like it, I know it's not what I really want to be doing, but they don't know how to make that jump, that leap, how to even. 'Cause I've seen you go, it's been a process. It wasn't like you woke up one day and I'm going to do coaching. Even recently, you and I had a call and we were talking about your audience, and even since that last call we had, your niche is getting narrower. So it's been a process, right? That you're
It
discovering.
has.
What's that?
Hmm.
How have you gone through that process? Like, how did you know it was coaching? Like, were people come up to you asking for advice on things? Because I'm trying to think from the person who's listening, like, gosh, how do I go from this Amazon business that I'm doing that yeah, it's great. I'm making money, but it's not really my thing. How do you discover that? What was that process of discovery? What are some clues that happened that caused you to realize, yeah, it's coaching for me. I want to help people.
That's a great question. Honestly, it came by accident. And I have to thank Jim Cochran for this, for pushing me out of my comfort zone because he tapped me on the shoulder to speak at a conference
I
on
remember
a
that.
certain topic.
And you were
You
nervous
remember
about
that?
doing it. You were nervous about getting
Yes.
up on stage. Yes.
Yes. Because
Yes.
I viewed myself as an introvert. Like,
Mhm.
to speak in front of people, it scared the crap out of me, man. I, I've been in situations when I was in the military. I've had to brief people.
Mhm.
In my later towards the time of being in the military and as a defense contractor, we flew on Blackhawks, crew
Right.
chief Blackhawks, and
Oh,
so
wow.
forth, Blackhawk helicopters. And part of that is you have to do air crew briefs. You have to
Right.
brief the crew that's flying with you, like, hey, listen, here's the ABCs. If you got to throw up, here's a bag. If you go down, here's what you do.
Yeah.
In other words, follow our instructions. Don't be a knucklehead, right? But I had no problem in briefing these individuals to a degree. I mean, we've had VIP, we've had, some serious VIP, we've had some generals.
Mhm.
So I didn't have a problem with speaking to a few people. But
Mhm.
when the thought of me being on stage, having a light shown on me, and being on display and talk about me,
Mhm.
that scared me to death. But I'm glad I did that because, man, it lit a fire in me. I did not know it was there
What was when he
because
came to you and asked you to speak, what was the topic?
something not even related to coaching. It was about wholesale.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, I've been pegged as a wholesale guy, and I'm good with that. I
Sure.
mean, that's what my business
Well, it's because
was,
you've had a
right?
lot of success with it.
Yes,
Yeah.
agree. And so it really came by accident. It was about wholesale, but a lot of it came into like, okay, yes, here's what's worked well for us and so forth. But
Hmm.
I also talked a lot about lessons learned,
Hmm.
defining your why and trying to introduce some concepts that are like in business or personal development,
Yeah.
but it's not, but it's applicable in all areas of your life,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Like I talk about standard over feelings a lot, like following the process regardless of how you feel.
Mm,
You know, for
that's good.
I talk about POCs, points of contact. So I'm
Hmm.
going to kind of relate it to e-commerce sellers. How do you grow your business? You guys find suppliers, right?
Yeah.
So, my challenge then, and my challenge is to anybody that's in the e-commerce space is reach out to 5 suppliers every day or two
Hmm.
suppliers or one, whatever that number is, do it consistently,
Yeah.
regardless of how much sleep you had last night,
Hmm.
regardless of if you feel like waking up and you feel amazing because you had a good 12 hours of sleep, regardless of how you feel, regardless of how your day is going, hit that goal because when you put in your reps, you consistently do the hard work that nobody else wants to do or
Yeah.
minimal people want to do, you're going to be light years ahead
Yes.
and it's not going to take long. A lot of people will get the misconception that their goals are much further ahead than they actually are.
Right. Right. Yeah.
It really does. So,
Mm.
it actually came by accident, man. When then people started asking me, and telling me, dude, your story was amazing to me.
Mm.
It was inspiring.
Yeah.
Dude, that experience lit me up more than
Wow.
me hitting, massive goals in e-commerce.
Yeah.
It really did.
Yeah, there's a clue right there. You knew it gave you just you were excited. Like after that that speech, it was you were at the top of the world essentially. Like that
Yeah.
was amazing.
Yeah.
And so that's guys, that's a clue that like you're on the right track when you because if you would have came up there and you felt like completely drained and your energy was gone and it was a horrible experience, you might not have wanted to do it again. But all right, have fun. See ya.
Yeah. 100%.
But it
It,
gave you energy. And so guy, that's a clue that you're on the right track.
yes, 100%. And that's really what did it for me is
Mm,
I've got more fulfillment out of that 45-minute, what seemed like 3-hour session. Actually,
right.
time went by really, really fast.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
But I got more sense of fulfillment and more sense of just gratitude and joy out of that than my entire time being an e-commerce platform.
Yeah. Wow.
You know, and so yeah, that was a huge clue to me. But
So then
it
what did
didn't
that
really.
okay, what did that light inside of you? Like that was fun. Now let's I mean, I imagine it wasn't immediate like, oh, I'm going to start a coaching business because I had one good speech. What was the
Yeah,
process that you went through then to get you where you are now to where you're opening up a whole program?
yeah. So honestly, it took a while because it was like, oh man, that was amazing. I want to do more of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I even sent Jim a text, brother, that was amazing. I appreciate you throwing me out in the fire like that. I had fun. Let's do it again. You know,
Yeah.
and I've done more of them,
Yeah.
and I've been out in the public more. But it really took me to figure out, like, okay, what is my niche? What is my
Yeah.
thing, right?
Yeah.
Was it how to sell on Amazon? Like kind of like what we talked about. Is it how to develop an amazing business on Amazon? Is it to, whatever, fill in a blank? And it took me a while to figure that out. And I was like, no,
Mm,
my passion is actually talking about how you can break self-limiting beliefs to
yeah.
live the life that God, told you, or, that He expects you to live, leave
Yeah.
a legacy.
Yeah.
That's what my niche is. That's what my passion is because I didn't have
Mm,
the proper upbringing, because I was not set up for success. A
mm-hmm.
lot of people think that they're not. A lot of people think that they cannot be successful because of the past that they had, either it's
Mm,
mistakes or the way they've been brought up or
yes. Yes.
whatever. And
Yes.
that cannot be further from the truth.
Yes.
But a lot of people disqualify themselves because they didn't come from money, or because they lived a life of just whatever that past life is. And so for
Yeah.
me,
Mm,
what fired me up was using my story to inspire other people that yes, it is
mm,
flipping possible. It's
yes.
hard. It is hard because you're working with the gray matter between your ears
Mm-hmm.
to break these things, to break bad habits, to break self-limiting beliefs. Like, oh, I can't do it because fill in the blank. Well,
Yeah.
who fed you the horse crap? Was it your mom? Was it your dad? Was it your uncle, aunt? And it's not their fault. I mean, what were they trying to do? They were trying to protect you, right? Because they didn't want to see you fail and get discouraged and fall and so forth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But they were screwing you over,
Yeah. Mm, mm.
And
So
so
good.
that's what fires me up, man.
Yeah.
Is that.
Man, oh man. Wow.
So and I'm hoping I can impact at least one person that's listening
You've
to this. I'm like,
impacted me. I
man,
mean, it's encouraging to me. So keep going.
you know, I appreciate you saying it. And I said this at every conference. I'm like, man, my prayer, if I can just get one person to say, dude, that helped me,
Yeah.
because it causes a ripple effect, right?
Yes, it
If I can
does.
just inspire one person to take action, it's not just for their life, it's for their kids and the people it's impacted by and that's for generations to come,
Yes, it is.
right? But like I said earlier, I know what it's like to live in a state of worry. I know what it's like to be scared, to be afraid,
Mm-hmm.
to live with negative emotions,
Mm.
to be broken,
Yeah.
to be invisible, despair, lack of purpose and secure. I know what it's like to be broke. I mean, dude,
Mm-hmm.
yes, I had amazing success using the Amazon platform, but man, when I'm able to speak publicly about this, man, we had some massive obstacles, obstacles that should have knocked out the average bird.
Yeah.
Really, it should have.
Yeah.
Really should have toppled our business.
Mm.
But I knew we could pull through it. I had no choice. I had to pull through.
Right.
Because I have a family that depends on it, right?
Right.
And So I know what it's like to been there. And
Mm-hmm.
because of that, I want to inspire other people to step up and live their destiny.
Mm-hmm.
Use my story and use my experience.
That's so good. Wow. So tell me about what you're doing with that. Like, so you're not just like you're out speaking on podcasts. You decided to get some,
Yes,
you getting clients, and you got a membership program that you're doing.
correct. Yes. So I want to impact as many people as I possibly can.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, this is my life. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not making money on Amazon. I'm not making, any money from any of that. This is my life.
Mm-hmm.
This is it. And so I want to impact as many people as I possibly
Mm-hmm.
can doing what I'm doing, which yes, there's two parts to this. One, is working with people, either one-on-one basis,
Mm-hmm.
if they're ready for that,
Yeah.
um, or in a mastermind, right? I mean, it's the same
Mm-hmm.
thing, but we're doing it in groups of like 10 to 15 people, which
Yeah.
coincidentally we're opening up here next week or so.
Awesome.
But I think where the big impact is occurring is in a community I built.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, we're actually, funny thing is we haven't really defined a name because it was just like, hey, man, I just want to do this community,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so we launched the community, and we've got a little less than 50, actually a little more than that now, a little more than 50 people now.
Uh-huh.
And my goal was to inspire people to use the things that I've learned, using my story, the things I've learned from a lot of different mentors
Mm-hmm.
that I've had the pleasure of working with, people that are in the mainstream. For example, Ben Newman, is one of my dear friends and mentors of mine.
Mm-hmm.
What better person to work with in the personal development space than him? He's worked with Coach Staben, with the Crips and Tie for 5 years or 4 years, helped
Mm-hmm.
him get numerous national championships. Now works with Kleiman over at K State.
Wow.
So it's all about investing in yourself and putting yourself in close proximity to people that can elevate yourself to a higher
Yes.
level.
That's so
I mean,
good.
it took me a long time to realize that.
Yes.
You know, and I heard this somewhere, man. I don't remember who said it or whatever. I'm going to give Roger Morton credit for it because I seen it posted by him.
Mm-hmm.
But it was talking about evaluating your circle. And it was like, man, if you don't have people in your circle that's causing you to elevate, to really improve and really move up in life, you don't have a circle. You have a cage. When
Oh,
I
that's so
heard
good.
that, man, I was like,
Wow.
right?
Oh my goodness.
Like, whoa, that hit me in the feels.
Yes.
And I don't know about you, man, but I don't like living in a cage. So yes, I'm using this platform to, to put out content. We do weekly calls every week. Every Wednesday we go live with me. We go
Mhm.
over a certain topic. We cover a certain set of disciplines.
Mm.
And every month I bring in people from my network, people that I'm exposed to that I
Yeah.
know the community can learn from.
Yeah.
And so, I want them to have value from that network.
Mm.
Uh, I'm going to be hosting a summit at the end of the year, a virtual
Okay.
summit.
Yep.
So yeah, we've got a lot of amazing things coming up, and so community is probably the most impactful thing that I could probably make because I'm able to do it widespread.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not, I'm able to impact as many lives as I possibly can. So that's been a lot of
Yeah.
my focus there is putting in a platform, letting people benefit off my story, the
Mhm.
courses I'm building and continue to build.
Okay.
The people are in the community. There are some amazing people in the community, and as you well know, man, it's not necessarily the content that's in the community; it's the connections you can make. Some
Yeah.
of it could be lifelong connections. I mean, look at us, man.
Right.
I mean, we go way back, dude, and we're
Yeah.
still in
Yeah.
connection and
Right.
learning off each other and you know calling each
Mm.
other knuckleheads. And
Right.
no, I'm kidding.
Yep.
But
I
that's the
love it.
most important part, man. It does pay to play.
Mhm.
I mean, you really do. You need to invest in rooms that don't make you comfortable. They cause you to elevate. They cause you to grow.
Yeah.
They talk differently. They talk about their future. They don't talk
Yeah.
about, oh yeah, I was a star quarterback in high school. Who gives a flip?
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
what are you going to accomplish tomorrow? What are you going to
Mhm.
accomplish in 5 years, 10 years from now? That's what really matters. What happened
Absolutely.
yesterday is yesterday.
Yeah. Who do you feel like is a good fit for this? Like, who are the type of people you feel like you can help the most?
So honestly, dude, anybody could benefit from message. Anybody
Sure,
could benefit from my content. That
definitely.
aside, my focus are the fathers.
Mm,
My focus are the men out there that are fathers that can resonate with my story. They
hmm.
don't,
That's good.
they weren't brought up with the proper upbringing. They weren't set up for success. They weren't, and man, it completely escaped me to talk about this, but
Well, go for it. You can. I mean, we don't have to end right now. But I just want to make sure people know how to who's a good fit, how they can find you, and then if there's anything else you want to share that we didn't cover that's on your list, let's talk about it.
yeah. So the other part of this that really kind of just hit me, slapped me in the face was a conversation I had with my oldest daughter.
Mm,
And the conversation was this, and I'm paraphrasing. And, you know, this was probably 4 or 5 years ago. We're still living in Alabama at the time, and we're talking about entrepreneurship. And, of course, every entrepreneur wants their kids to follow in the same path, right? Because they know the freedom that it offers, they know the benefits it brings, but it's not easy, man.
mm.
It's not an easy life. It's not the Starbucks meme that people post. Oh, living as a rock star, grinding. No, that's not freaking entrepreneurship, my man.
Yeah.
That's not the way it works. It is not. It's something you just have to grow to love because you love the life that brings you. You love the flexibility, you love the life, the freedom.
Hmm.
But anyways, I was in a conversation with Joshua, my son, my youngest son, and Naomi, my oldest daughter, and we were talking about entrepreneurship. And then I asked her, so, well, how does it make you feel, when I'm grinding every day to, so that I can provide a better life for you guys? And dude, she said something to me. It took me way out of left field. It's like I feel abandoned.
Oh my gosh. Wow. You thought they were gonna say like, I'm proud of you, Dad. You're hitting it
Yeah.
hard. You're doing really well. We thank you.
Uh huh.
Mm, yeah.
And looking back, I was gone a lot.
Mm,
I was always at the warehouse. I was always, you know, I was always gone.
hmm.
Or I didn't go to swim meets because business was busy.
Yeah.
And that was the other part of the answer to that. And
Mm,
could I have done better? Absolutely, I could have done better systems and to really completely remove myself from the business, but I had so much going on.
hmm.
We say this a lot in the communities that you and I are in, is to bolt down one thing before you move on to something else, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And I'm a true testament to that. Dude, I did everything all at once. I did what you should not do.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had a successful business, or yes, it was a successful Amazon business, but we also did print on demand. We also had a 3PL that was up and coming. We
Hmm.
also had a SaaS company that was working on with Jimmy Smith.
Yep.
We had all these different projects. I was always gone, and it not maybe so much physical, but mentally not present,
Mm,
right?
yeah. Yeah.
So when she said that, man, I'm like,
Mm,
yeah, like you, man. I was like, whoa, I was not expecting that. And so taking that and then blending it with, what, I went through at the first conference, like, okay, now I got to find how I can make this happen because I don't want to, be on my deathbed and, my kids are not, prioritizing family because I didn't prioritize family,
yeah.
And so going, now fast forward a little bit, I want that change for everybody else that's
Yes.
listening. I don't want them to be so consumed by work, by business, by
Mm,
whatever it may be that they're doing to not be present for their kids. Because I'm telling you from personal experience, if you don't, you're gonna regret it when they're
yeah.
older.
Absolutely.
You really are because they're not going to place a priority on family when they're moved on and they're in college or in their own lives or whatever. Do you think they're going to prioritize family? When like, hey, it'd be nice for you to call me every once in a while. You
Yeah.
don't hear from them,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
But aside from that, how are they going to have their family? Are they going to be the same way with their kids?
Yeah.
Always at work, always doing something, not being present.
Hmm. Mm,
So yes, I want to break that curse. I want to. other people to break that curse to, be present with their kids, especially nowadays, man. We've got so
Yes.
many agendas. I don't care who you vote for or what you do or
Mm.
whatever. It's not the point. We all want the same things. We all want to
Yeah.
be happy. We all want to be fulfilled, and we all want to be left alone.
Hmm.
And we all want that sense of fulfillment. And that's what I want for everybody that's listening is to have that sense of fulfillment that they know they're leaving a legacy, they're leaving an impact with their kids.
Hmm.
So
Mm.
that's largely
Love
why
it.
I'm focusing on what I'm focusing.
That's so awesome. How can people find you? Where they go to check out your offer?
Yeah. So the website is Karl, Karl dash Jacoby, JACOBI.com. Of course, they can look me up on Facebook, but if you, there's two Carls, there's my dad. So
Okay,
I got a
cool.
warrant. So, but I have a J in the middle of my name.
Mhm.
So my dad might get a little suspect. You're like, man, why am I getting a lot of friend requests all of a
All these
sudden?
people want coaching.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly, man. Yeah, if this resonates with anybody,
Mm,
please, come into our community. For less than $3.25 a day, you're gonna be able
mm,
to come into the community, get live calls every week, have
yeah,
accountability calls,
love
have a
it.
Q&A, and of course, Ryan, because you're an amazing friend, amazing supporter, I'm going to give you a coupon code for your audience that'll give them $20 off for each
Wow,
month in
awesome.
perpetuity,
Nice.
right? But you know, and I'm hoping there's people that want more, right?
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, the community aspect's great, the networking's great,
Hmm. Hmm.
but I want to work with Karl.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
you
That's
know,
good.
I hope there are.
Hmm.
And if that's the case, contact me, please. Let's reach out, see how we can serve you and change the trajectory of your life. Because if anybody's like me, man, I felt like I had no aim. I
Yeah.
was just going. I was just
Yeah.
winging it.
Hmm.
So some things I wanted to add, for your audience,
Go for it.
man. Some takeaways that people can incorporate in their lives. We talked about the burn.
Hmm.
Anybody that's listening, please, I don't care if you come into my community and support me and what we're doing and the mission that we're doing or not. Here are some things I want you guys to take away from this call. One is focusing on your burn. And, I've had people take a month to identify what that burn is. And really, it's just asking why. Like every time you say, well, this fuels me up. Okay, why?
Hmm.
Until you get to that root cause that
Yes.
ignites your fire, right? And it could be, and if it's tied to material thing, that's okay. Just know though, as soon as you accomplish that material thing, it could be a beautiful house because you didn't have a beautiful house when you're growing up.
Hmm.
Now you want an amazing custom 13,000 square foot home with whatever, kind of like your place, man.
Hmm.
So
13,000.
it, okay,
Ours is a
14,
little
sorry.
bit smaller than that. Actually, quite a bit
But
smaller.
But I mean, if we're focusing on material things, just know that it's going to shift because once you hit that, man, then what? Your burn's
Yeah.
no longer there,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
So it can be material things. I don't recommend it because it can
There's
shift.
probably,
If
even though material thing, there's probably still another why behind underneath
yes,
that. Because if I told you,
100%.
Karl, you know what, I want to get in your group, and my why is I want to have $1 million cash in the bank. Well, why, Ryan? Well, security. Well, why do you need that? There's always going to be something down
Yes,
below
yes,
even the material things. If it's a big house, it's probably maybe they crave family to be together. So
yes.
it's going to be something deeper, more profound. Even and there's absolutely nothing wrong with wanting a big house, nice bank account,
No, absolutely not.
ability to have money to go on vacation. But there's for everybody listening, there's probably going to be something deeper than that material thing.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree. It could be a service, right? I mean, it could be
Hmm.
a goal that is service oriented. Like they want to dedicate their lives, kind of like me, right? I
Yeah.
want to impact as many lives as I possibly can. I want to impact millions of lives.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
so that's not my burn though, because it goes way deeper than that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Good.
yeah, you got to have that identified because it really
Yep.
fuels your why.
Yep.
The other takeaway I want people to take away from this and to incorporate in their lives is really follow the process, the concept of standard order of feelings. And what I mean by that, as I talked about earlier, is, okay, what are the set disciplines that you're going to do on a daily basis that's going to propel your life forward? It could be as
Mm,
simple as reading 10 pages from a Bible, a book. It could be that you're going to go out for a 45-minute walk. It could be as simple as, hey, I'm going to reach out to 5 people every day. That's going to propel my business forward.
yeah.
But I don't add so much, because this is what I see. There's so many people that I work with. It's like, Carl, man, I just can't do it. Yes, you can, but let's segue this. How many tasks are you adding? Well, I'm adding like 10. No, 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 no. That's what's happening. You're
Mm,
adding so much to the list and you don't accomplish it. Then what happens?
you
You
feel
feel
like a
defeated.
failure. Yeah.
Yes,
Mhm.
you're that lack that then that self-confidence goes away. So I encourage everybody to start with one. Build those wins, stack those wins. In fact, I encourage everybody to get a notebook and put down that one thing. Physically write it down. There is something that goes on in your brain that when you write it down and you accomplish it and you put a W there,
Yeah.
it makes you feel good. It energizes you. It builds that
Yep.
self confidence. And
Right.
you do it 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. You stack those wins. Then you add another task. You stack those wins. Guess what happens to your self confidence, man?
Through the roof.
It's yes, it goes through
Yeah.
the roof. Now
Mm,
you're feeling like, man, dude, I can tackle anything.
hmm
That's all this is, man. It's the
Yeah.
gray matter between your ears. It
Absolutely.
really is.
Mm,
So I really encourage everybody to do that. Is to, focus on those tasks. Start small.
mm,
Don't be that person that overcomplicates it, overthinks it. Just start with one thing and
yeah.
do it every day,
Good.
regardless of how you feel.
Yes. Wow. So it was like the compound effect from Darren Hardy. It's just those like, if you and I are setting out
Yes.
to lose weight and
Yeah.
you make one quick change that you drop sugar. I mean, that alone, but I then you go on this crash binge diet and I lose 25 pounds really quick. You look at me like, hey, he's doing better than me. Well, not really, because it's easy for me to go back on the same path and gain it all back. But you're consistently doing just this one thing that
Yes.
you'll outpace me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Mm, so good.
100%. James Clear talks about this in
Hmm.
Atomic Habits.
Yep.
Compounding effect of doing just one thing, right?
Yes.
1% difference. And just think about how different your life would be in
Yeah.
6 months, in a
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
Didn't you talk about 5 years? Dude,
Yeah.
you're a whole nother person, another whole
Yeah.
nother, like you're there,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly. And that time's gonna
But
pass whether we like it or not, right?
yes, yes, that 6 months is going to pass by. That 5 years is going to pass
Yeah.
by. Why not get the greatest return on that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
life's going to be hard.
Right.
It's hard to lose weight. It's hard being fat.
Just
I
choose your
can't.
hard, right? I've heard people
Exactly.
say that's so good.
Yes. Choose your hard.
Yes.
It's
Mm,
absolutely. But
mm,
on the flip side of that too, man, it's something that Phil with me is, being seduced by success.
mm,
What does that mean? Seduced by success. Well, what happens to a lot of people when they start winning? Like, hey man, I got a major client today, or I scored a touchdown, or whatever. What happens? They let off the gas.
mm.
Oh, I'm going to ride this win for a little bit. The moment you do that, you lose all the momentum that you just spent weeks, months,
Yeah. Yeah.
maybe even longer building,
Mm-hmm.
and you just let off the gas.
Mm,
So please keep your foot on the gas and do not be seduced by success. Now, I'm not saying don't enjoy it. Take a
mm-hmm.
few minutes. Take a day, celebrate, enjoy it, live it, smell it, taste it, whatever. But the very next day, get right back on that gas, because it
Mm,
doesn't matter anymore.
that's
What
right.
matters is what you do today,
Yeah, that's good.
right?
Mm,
And if anybody's, I like to relate to a lot to this, to the gym, because I like to go to the gym. I love working out. There's just something about working out. Now, is it easy to go to the gym every day? Oh no. I wake up at 4 o'clock every morning to go to the gym. So it's not easy. It's not easy being this cheesy. Haha. but but the reason I bring this up, man, is all of this, man, is a battle of you versus you. At the
mm,
end of the day, this is you versus you.
yep.
And it's just no different than going to the gym, man. If you're cranking out some reps, you're doing 3 sets and 10 on the bench, and you're like, man, all right, I could do that 11th one. It's in your head, man.
Yeah.
You could do that 11th one. You just got to freaking crank it.
Yeah. Mm.
You may have to have somebody spot you on that 11th rep, but you can do it. It's no different, man. It's all up
Yeah,
here.
it is. Mm. That's good.
So, hope some value was provided in this and extracted because
Absolutely. So guys, go to carl-jacoby.com. I'll put a link in the show notes too. Anything
amazing.
else you want to share?
Uh, Plug into my community, please. Just really plug into the community. If it's not a fit for you, subscribe to a newsletter. I am providing content, every week,
Okay.
even to our newsletter list. So if it's not a fit for you to join our community, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
But at least plug into our content so we can impact you in some shape or form.
Love it. Thanks for being on, man. I appreciate it. Appreciate your heart. Love what you're doing. And thanks for being obedient to the call.
Yeah, man. Love being here, man. I appreciate you having me. It's been
Any,
been an enjoyable experience, man. I love having me here.
absolutely. Anytime, brother.